And we are live, all burgundy and gold, everything with the urban sports scene. Post game, Washington football team takes an L to the Buffalo Bills, 43-21. Ray, Wole, Glenn, we're in the building. What's up, y'all? Mo, hopefully he's on the way, guys. This was a tough, tough loss. Not even competitive at times. What are your overall thoughts or your initial thoughts on this game as we unpack a whole lot from the defense to Heineke to the coaches to Josh Allen and the Bills? Let's get started. Wole, I saw you on Twitter the whole game, baby. You look like a
Yeah.
frustrated fan. How you feeling?
I mean, I think I was being a realist. You know what I'm saying? That's it was when you're on Twitter, you're on social media, you got to be real with the people, man. I just saw a team that was outclassed. That was the most important. That's the thing that came out. They were outclassed every which way. You knew they played Buffalo, and you saw why Buffalo was a preseason Super Bowl contender. Just a higher class in quarterback, higher class in defense, higher class in coaching, all the way around the board. You know, the only thing I guess you can say is that special team for the Washington football team is solid, whatever. But in terms of those other two, factions on a team, we're talking about offense and defense. They were just outplayed. You saw, I know people were talking about, oh, Josh Allen didn't look good coming into this game, but you see why he's still that dude. You know what I mean? Just because he played bad those last two games doesn't mean anything. This defense, I said it again, I'll say it again, is nothing. This defense isn't good. You know what I mean? To me, it's one of the worst defenses in football right now. That's the product that they are putting on the field. They're the worst defense in the NFC East, and they're arguably the worst defense in the NFL. They continue to give up big third down plays, third and long downs that down and distance that you would think a good defense, forget a dominant defense, a good a decent defense would help get off the field. They're not able to do that. So to me, it just this team wasn't ready to go to Buffalo, and that's concerning. If you're a Washington football team fan, that's concerning to say, you know what, our coaching staff didn't have us prepared to go play a high quality team to compete. Forget wins and losses. Ray, you've heard me talk about that. It's all about competition and competing. They didn't give those players an opportunity to compete, and that's a big issue.
Glenn, you on the streets, man. What's
Yeah,
the
man,
what's the
I'm on,
word out
on
there?
streets. Word out there is this, man. This Washington football team, truth be told, if we realistic and honest, like Wiley was talking about being honest. Hey, man, they should be on 3.
Yep.
This football team should be on 3. We're one penalty away from not being on 3. Or one missed catch about Slayton for not being on 3. The
Mm-hmm.
defensively definitely have to get better. Third down, we talked about since week 1, week 2. Third down has been a killer for the defensive team. Secondary again got torched today. They gave turnovers really hurt this football team because they gave a good good Buffalo team a short
Mm-hmm.
yardage. And you can't do that when you give a good Buffalo team short yardage. I mean, you think about that at the end of the second half, right? The score was 14-21. Washington is driving down the field, and we get a turnover, right? Turnover by
Mm-hmm.
Logan Thomas, which Washington has the momentum there, and it could easily got a field goal made it 17-21. But
Mm-hmm.
then Buffalo had 2 opportunities. Buffalo scores twice right before the half
Yeah.
with 2 minutes up, change left, which changed the velocity of this game. Because
Mm-hmm.
Washington, remember, if Washington even would have scored a field goal, they get the ball at the second half. They start with the ball. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, they shot themselves in the foot. And Heineke's trying to do everything he can. Offensive line is not giving him time to stand in the pocket and to deliver. Your quarterback should not have to roll out every play just to get a pass off.
Yeah. And to Glenn's point too, I want to tap on that because I talked about that on Twitter. It goes to coaching. You're down. You're 20. It's 24-14. I mean, it was 20. It was 21-14 at the time, but it's 24-14 before the half. That's still good momentum, knowing where you were at before. You were down 21-0. So you're in a good place, and like Glenn said, you're getting the ball back in the second half. So you're down 10, right? You punt the ball. 26 seconds left. Buffalo has all 3 timeouts. You're still playing. You're playing passive. You're allowing. There's 3 timeouts. That's enough time. If you allow them, it's enough time to have an offense travel to get in field goal range. And you're playing back. You're playing off coverage. You're not trying to press them on the receivers or anything. Forget. 26 seconds. It's hard to score a touchdown anywhere in a big play. To be real with you, it's hard. It's not easy. You know what I mean? So if you think your defense is decent enough or average, then you can kind of try to do things to make sure they're not easily able to move up the field to get into field goal range. And they just didn't. They didn't put any. there was no restraint. There was no friction in that. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, we're just safe. We're going to give you 3 points, and that was a problem for me. To me, that's coaching. It's like, don't give them the opportunity to get 3 points, because now you're putting Heineke and the Washington football team's option. Instead of worrying about, okay, we score here, maybe we get 3 points, 3 points here, we'll be down 7. That's a different mindset, when you get the ball back at half, rather than thinking, you know what, we're down 27-14. We need to get a touchdown so we can be down, so we can make it into a 1-score game. You know what I mean? So when we get a touchdown, we get another touchdown, we can take the lead. Like, the mindset is totally different. So for me, it was like, in terms of coaching, you can tell when a coach is is out there to win, and a coach is just trying to kind of like, Bob, we just trying to be around to the end. That's all they're trying to do. There's a difference in coaching. There's a different in coaching philosophy. And I felt like that's a passive coaching philosophy. And that's something that has to be fixed ASAP. Like, ASAP, they want this team to do something. It has to be fixed now.
Real quick, we can talk about the, of course, like I said, defense, coaching. But before we get to that, I want to point out some positives. Obviously, Antonio Gibson showing his big play ability. That was dope to see, because you're reminded that you have an explosive weapon in the backfield, and who also is a threat in the passing game, and gives Taylor Heineke some support when, at times guys they're playing tight coverage on these receivers because they don't respect the Washington football team's run offense. On top of that, I think Jamin Davis again showed that he needs to be on the field more today. Wole, I saw you tweeted that. So let's talk quickly about some positives. There were a few bright spots. What do you think they were? Glenn, did you see any?
Yeah, bright spots for special teams. Special teams was this bright spot for them. I mean, I think Washington football team has one of the better special team units in the NFL, man. When you talk about Tressway, some return coverage, it gave the offense some good field position. To me, that's always been a bright spot of theirs, to be able to have good special teams. I do like Antonio Gibson's explosiveness. I just like to see it stay positive, so I get to that later. Try to stay positive. So I do have Terry McLaurin again, some big time catches, especially late in the game. I think the coach will try to go to him a little bit more often. And there was some good play on the offensive line, giving Heineke some time to give him some time to be innovative. But I just need to see them stand a little bit more in the pocket.
Well, I also think you got punched in the mouth early, and you did show some resolve initially, but that's where adjustments come into play for me, and I don't understand the game planning and what was discussed at halftime. But Wole, any bright spots?
Yeah, gotta stay positive. Ray, you say stay positive. You said stay positive. We can't go that route. I mean, like Glenn said, special teams is one. I think that was. I mean, in terms of that kickoff play when they got that turnover to kind of change momentum, that was a nice play by Dustin Hopkins. So you credit him credits too. He's played pretty well at the start of the season. Jamin Davis, you mentioned him. A lot. I feel like now we're at a point. If you're a Washington football team fan, the defense is bad. So what's wrong giving him more playing time? It can't be worse than what's going on the field now. So in terms of saying he's going to hurt your defense, I don't see that, because the defense is already hurting itself. So why give him the experience so he can kind of get better? Because to me, what I'm seeing from the kid is that he's getting better every game. So if I'm seeing improvement, then why not give him the burn, and so he can become a better player? Like you talk about, what's it, consistency, right? Or what's the term that you use, right? Here's the term that you use. Sustained success. Thank you. Sustained success, right? So this gives you an opportunity to sustain success, because now he's going to be better in the long run. It may not be in this 17-game season this season, but next year he'll be a lot better because of that experience. Because again, he's showing us a trend of getting better every game. So I think I like what he was doing on the field. I think Gibson, again, what you mentioned, Gibson, he should utilize more in passing game. He's explosive, man. It is what it is. I saw a lot of good things. I like Logan Thomas. I know he had the fumble, but I thought he did a lot of good things. The fumble was to fight for extra yardage. He got a touchdown in the game. He's improving as a tight end. So there's some good things. And William Jackson, I thought he played well. I know defense was trash, but he played well. Like William Jackson did play well. That's a good bounce back game compared to what we saw from him against the Giants. So, yeah, I mean, those are some positives. We can go on the negatives, and it's a lot. There's a boatload of negatives.
Let's go on the negatives real quick. I want
to get one more. I want to get one more. I think St. Juice played well today too.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did play.
My man. He got away with one, in my opinion. Though he did get away with one on Diggs.
No, he did. No, that was pass interference. That was PI. But those refs are trash though. Don't get it twisted. But go ahead.
We've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of questionable calls throughout the course of the season so far across the board.
I
So
know
watching the
from
football
every
team, you can complain. I get it, justifiable. But at the same time, everybody's dealing with it. Real quick, shout out to my homie Big Doug. When he joined our show, he said this coaching staff is arrogant. Wole, can they be arrogant at this point? Have they not been humbled these past 3 weeks? And now, do you need to start making changes? It was Moose Johnston on the call who said the Washington football team plays vanilla on third down because they think their front four is that good. However, they need to start mixing it up because it's not working. Your thoughts?
I agree. I think this team. I think the coaching staff is definitely arrogant. They feel like they want to do things their way. And the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. And they're getting the same result, like over and over again. You're giving up third and long. You know what I mean? You do okay down 1, down 2, but you're giving up third and long consistently. First drive of the game, you're giving up touchdowns. You've done that for 3 weeks straight now. So there's something has to change. Like it has to change. You can't continue to play your style of defense because it's not working. And there's levels to this, right? It hasn't been working on all types of teams. You can't say, okay, we were playing the best of the best in quarterback play. Well, yeah, you played Herbert, who just beat Kansas City. You played Allen, but Allen was struggling. But Allen is an elite caliber quarterback. But Daniel Jones did the same thing to you, and Daniel Jones was struggling today. So, and he's been struggling the couple games prior, other than that Washington game. You know what I mean? So you've shown us in terms of your defense that you are who you are. So you have to change something. There's no excuse into it. There's no excuse. There's no, well, we were playing Brady. We were playing it. No, there's no excuse. Like, it's now time to change something up. Whatever that is. If it's personnel, if it's, maybe we have to bring more pressure or manufacture more pressure, you know what I'm saying, rotations, you have to change something. Because you can't go like this. Because right now, this defense is historically bad to me. What they're doing is trifling, to lack of a better term. You know what I mean? So that's something they have to get fixed, and they have to get that fixed ASAP. And I guess Coach Rivera has to, I know they're all boys in the family and kumbaya and whatnot, but this is where he has to, he's a defensive minded coach. He got to jump in and say, you know what, we got to change something. This ain't working.
Glenn?
Y'all can hear me. It's like this was.
Oh, Glenn, you're breaking up. Ray, can you hear him? I can't hear him.
I can't hear him either. We can't hear you right now, Glenn. Where you at? You riding over some water?
Okay. You breaking up, Glenn?
When you come back, let's see. You try now.
Is that Northern?
Now you're just breaking up. It's the service. Okay.
I can't. He said Northern Virginia.
Okay. Is he back? No, he's freezing.
Got me?
A little bit. You're jumping in and out.
All right, Glenn. We'll give you a few minutes. So we of course broke down the coaching staff. Wole, like I said, I can't tell the difference sometimes between your analyst hat and your fan hat. I'll be real.
It's real, bro. Believe me, it's real. It's all real.
But going to the offensive side of the ball, we've been critical of Scott Turner. And I'm having a difficult time. I like the call to Gibson to kind of shift the momentum. That was a good call. I still don't think he necessarily is committed to the run. I don't like the 4th and 1 quarterback sneak. I don't like the fact that Rivera didn't challenge that. So, where are we right now in terms of this coaching staff as a whole? If you have to give him a grade, because it's easy to criticize Scott Turner, but I don't necessarily know if he's even in a good position when the quote unquote anchor of this team is just not playing well right now.
Yeah. George just tweeted us that whoever said the coaches are arrogant was spot on.
That's a big deal, baby. That wasn't me. I was giving it.
You know what I'm saying? And also, what's it? George also tweeted and said, "You are identifying the number one problem. As much as we've overrated this talent and as disappointing as some of the players' performances have been, coaching is this team's number one problem."
Hey
Um,
Mo, who am I calling out? By the way, Mo, you say
oh,
call him
he
out.
said, oh no, oh he's talking about Scott Turner.
Oh,
So
okay,
call him
okay,
out, call him out.
all right, cool.
I think he's talking about Scott Turner, not me. I think, oh, he could be talking about me, either or. But yeah, I think to me, my issue with Scott Turner is
Oh,
wisdom.
it's Mole.
Oh, wait, why are we talking about? Oh, this Giants dude talking
He
playoffs. What are you
said
talking
defend
about?
him. He said defend him.
Who said about making play? We're talking about something today. We're talking about current stuff, Giants fan. We're talking about current stuff. We ain't talking about what I said in the past. I'm spot on right now, bruh. Don't get it twisted. I said I was wrong. So I don't know where you trying to go in the past. But anyway, I'm just in terms of Scott Turner's all his play calling. I wasn't a fan of the run. Like you said. I think once they got the game manageable, he went away from the run. It was like, okay, we have to pass. When your defense is struggling, what do you do to try? What do you do? As an offense? What is your job to do? Stay on the field. How do you stay on the field? Try to run the football. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
You take that time to run the football. Do not have a defense that's not good on the football field because they're not holding you down. They're not that defense. All right, they're a bad defense. Like I said, right, they're a horrible defense right now. So why put that defense on the field? So run the football. Like you said, right? You saw what Gibson is doing. You saw what McKissick was doing, average a pop when you gave him the balls and run, and out of the backfield. You didn't. There's a situation where you can run three running backs if you want to. You can run three running backs and take the pressure off of the defense and take the pressure off just the outside weapons. There's things you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like to muck the game up a little bit to kind of keep your team in the ball game, or at least keep you around to a point where you don't have to worry about your defense, giving up long drives or whatnot. Because if you on the other side are driving the ball for a while, having time possession, you now put pressure on the opposing offense to try to kind of score fast or whatnot, because now you're shortening the game. So there's things you can do in terms of play calling. And also, I don't like the rhyme or reasoning to some of his calls. Again, I'm gonna mention it was, I believe they just got, I think McKissick or was Gibson. I want to say it was McKissick. He just rushed for 6 yards. It was momentum. I want to say when it was 27-14, they were driving. They got to their side of the field. He runs a reverse to De'Ami Brown, who loses 4 yards. Now they're back to 3rd and 10. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why run that play now? There's no need to run that play. It's 2nd and 6. You have some momentum. There's no need for a trick play like that. That's not even a big time trick play. Just freaking run the football. You just had a good average pop off that alone. Run the ball again. Like get it 3rd and manageable. Like you see Buffalo's defense was flying. Make it 3rd and manageable. Make it easy for yourself. And they didn't do that. So there's a lot there in terms of Scott Turner. I'm still not a fan of. I try to give him the benefit of the doubt after scoring 30. That's me not being a fan, Ray. So I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. I really did. I said I saw some good things, but in this game I didn't. I just saw a bad coach. I saw a team that was not coached correctly in that game at all. Like, to be honest with you, just wasn't prepared, and they really need to go back into the drawing board and reassess what they want to do and what plans they want to have going forward.
Well, is it too early for a shakeup? Because here's the thing. You
Nah.
thought this defense was good. I'm gonna keep on reiterating that because it's true.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
true.
don't know if Scott Turner necessarily knew that his offense was going to be heavily relied on to keep the defense off the field.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what's interesting is all I heard this all season. I'm gonna say it again, that he's an offensive genius. No, Kyle Shanahan is genius.
Yeah.
He's not a genius. It's not a lot of creativity. And then it's like when he tries to get creative, it just doesn't work. It fails miserably, and it's in the wrong spots. He starts out the game with a really good run. That McKissick run to open the game. I'm like,
yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
And then what happens after that is it's really unfortunate. Heineke, as much as I like him, he's growing on me. He's not the guy that you're going to rely on to come back on the road. So these slow starts, the initial drive by each team that the Washington football team has played these first 3 weeks is mind-boggling. There's been no resistance, and you get down early, and then you're relying on an offense that's not built like that. So they're going to have to make adjustments. The arrogance part, listen, you're being humble right now. I don't care what your track record is. It's time to make some changes, and the whole world can see it. So I'm hoping that will happen somewhere between now and Atlanta. I'm not going to put on my fan hat yet, Bole. even though again,
Oh.
I just question. But I'm okay with the fan perspective as well, even though I don't agree with all Washington football team fans. Now, we talked about both sides of the football. We talked about special teams. Let's get to some individual guys. Kendall Fuller is the one I saw getting the most criticism on social media today, even more than Cole Holcomb and Bostic. Bostic, I don't see what
Bostic
everybody
is
else
not.
sees.
Bostic ain't
Now,
great,
pass
but
coverage,
he's
he's
not
not being
bad.
in the right
He's not
position.
bad. I
You
mean,
know,
he got freaked
Even Chase was in checking
cover.
Cole B face. I'm like, hold on, he's not supposed to be dropping back in coverage. So there's a lot that goes to it. Again, it goes back to coaching. But Kendall Fuller in general, I can agree that there's a concern there, especially when he's covering guys in the slot. Your thoughts, and also, what were your thoughts of the defensive backs in general? I know you mentioned William Jackson, but as a whole, what do you think can change moving forward? This is your guys. McCain, I like McCain too, but right now they're struggling as a unit. Cam Curl was quiet today. What do you think?
Glenn, you want to handle that? Since you back on?
Yeah. Yeah. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Yeah, good. Hey, I mean, Kendall Fuller, he left Washington for the first time. He left Washington the first time for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, sometimes I didn't think he should be brought back. What helped him out last year, so he had a good season, and we was able to get the pass rush. The front four helps the secondary. If we can't, the front four can't get any pressure, your secondary is never going to win because the quarterback is going to pick you apart. Receivers going to break off routes. You're going to have comeback routes. Receivers going to it's designed. The NFL now is designed for wide receivers to get open.
Mm-hmm.
So Washington's secondary and Kendall Fuller and those guys in the secondary has to get help by the front four. When you talk about Chase Young being in coverage, you should never have a DN in coverage with a slot receiver. That should be a linebacker.
Yeah.
That should be a linebacker. That should be a Bostic. That should be going nickel. Your D lineman should be going into coverage. Why? He can't, even though Chase Young is fast, he's not going to be able, he's already at a disadvantage by leverage anyway when he comes into receiver. So therefore, he can't do anything unless he walls that guy in and he walls him off to a secondary person. Or when the secondary, the receiver's crossing, he go ahead and knocks him off his route. But him going into coverage, it's essentially where it turns to man on man. Defensive, that right, I don't know what Del Rio and them are thinking here, but the secondary itself has to get help from the front four, and we won't see the secondary rise to the level where they can play at unless we get help by the front four.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think definitely it's pressure, but Fuller has been bad, and I don't get the drop off because I mean, like when he was here the first time, him in the slot, the nickel was his ideal place, and he played very well, played at a high level, and it's just like he went to Kansas City, came back, and even for the first part of the season last year, he was solid, playing outside for the first part of the season. Then towards the end of the season, his play started diminishing, and now it's kind of continued. So, I don't know what you can do with Kendall Fuller. I would think about playing McTire. I think I would consider playing him. He played good in the preseason just to spell him. I don't know, because he's getting to a point where now he's starting to be a real hindrance to the defense. And the defense is already bad as it is, but his play isn't helping. And you may want to try some things out. Again, it's getting to a point where if your defense wasn't, to Ray's point, it may be, for some, you may think it's too early to make changes, but it's to a point where it's playing so bad that you can't ignore it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so bad you can't ignore it. There's sometimes you may have one bad game, one stinker. You're like, okay, you're overreacting, whatever. This person can improve. Give them some time. But when you're showing a trend, again, I'm gonna say this. It would be all right if you're playing. I think Mo said it's like the quarterbacks or whatnot. But it'd be all right. The argument would be more fair to anybody if, say, all you saw was Brady, Herbert, or whatever, but you got sprinkled in. You saw like a Daniel Jones in the middle, and he did the same exact things that these other quarterbacks have done. So to me, you're showing me that it is what it is. This is what you are. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to change something up. And I feel like the secondary, there's some things you can change up. There is some things you can bench Fuller if you want to. Like, you have a choice. Like, you obviously cut Jimmy Moreland because you thought McTire was more productive. A guy who can play the slot probably better than Jimmy. So, and Jimmy played slot pretty well. He averaged, in terms of his ranking, was pretty high out of the slot. So if you think that highly of the kid, you may want to play him over Fuller because Fuller has been worse than Jimmy was last year. And Jimmy was better. Jimmy was good. So I'm not saying worse, but compared to Jimmy, we're talking about last year to this year, Jimmy was a better nickel corner than what we see from Fuller right now. So if you cut Jimmy because this kid that you thought this kid McTire looked good, then you may want to play him. You may want to and to see what he can do. If he turns out looking bad, go back to Fuller. There's no problem with that. Or give him some snaps. Give him more snaps than Fuller, or more plays in to play nickel and to spell Fuller from time to time, and then see what you get out of that. But there's some change. There's some things you can try to change up. There are definitely some things you can do.
I'm okay with the fans now starting to question Coach Rivera. I'm okay with, because somebody just posted, are we over the and Ron we trust stuff? You know what I'm saying? After 3 weeks, I'm okay with that because it's clear that you need to make some adjustments. And if you continue to be arrogant, you're going to have a long football season. But we'll say this, Wale, you know how I am. After 3 games, the Giants are now 0-3. You're still a game up on them, and you have a victory in the division. After Monday night, you're going to have another NFC East team fall to 1-2. So you're still not necessarily looking that bad right now in terms of your division and your outlook for the playoffs. So looking at the schedule, you got Atlanta coming up. There's no more automatic W's. Like Atlanta at first probably appeared to be, that winnable game early on. But now you can't say that because you haven't played well. So looking forward, how do you feel about the team possibly, making changes, of course, and then gelling as they move forward? New parts on both sides of the football is taking some time to build cohesion. I keep saying that. Are you any level optimistic?
I'm not into the new
that
part
they can turn this around.
First, let me read this Facebook comment. Dottie Lewis he posted, said Del Rio is not putting these guys in good positions to their strength. I totally agree. So back to it. I don't really have any optimism on if they can improve, because I'm all about you are who you are until you show me anything different, and they are who they are to me. And if there was like a glimmer of hope, but then the game, say the last quarter they were doing certain things that I would like, okay, I see they can build on this, they can improve. But I don't see anything. So for me to answer that question, it would be like, nah, because you got to show me something to be optimistic about. You know what I mean? Like, well, we talking about defense, we're talking about offense. If we're talking about offense,
to me, both sides of the ball.
I mean, offense, there's some things that you can. I feel like you got a quarterback to me that plays with heart. That's cool. I think that. I mean, I don't have no issue with Heineke, to be honest with you. I'm not saying he's elite, but I think he's a quarterback that will give his wide receivers an opportunity to make plays. I think Scary Terry's, if I'm going to be optimistic, will always get an opportunity to make plays, because it seems like Heineke is looking for him a lot. So he'll always have his targets up. That's good for my fantasy football stuff too. I appreciate that. So if that's something positive, yeah, I think Logan Thomas is always going to be a positive, because I feel like he's at tight end he's continuing to improve. But in terms of the defense, I'm having to go on the defensive side of football, because I feel like that's where it's limited for me. I think Mo should play Jamin Davis more. I think that's something I would like to see. Like that's something. Press man, they can play press man, but I don't know. I don't even know that. I don't know what's gonna. I want to see it happen, and we'll see what comes from there. If that's gonna improve their play, I think it will, but we'll see if they decide to go that route. But play Jamin Davis more. I think in terms of, to go back to the initial question for that, I think that Jameis has improved every game, and I do want to see him get more snaps. Like, I feel like there's no knock on Bostic, but it's his time to get those snaps, because this defense hasn't been good. He can get those snaps. It's not like the guy in front of him is balling out. You know what I mean? The guy in front of him has his own problems. I'm not saying I'm like you, Ray. I don't think Bostic is the worst player in the world. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I'm not like everybody else. I don't think Bostic's the worst player.
I'm laughing at Mo. Go ahead. You good?
But I just think that Jamin can play with Bostic. Like, the way that he's playing, he can play with Bostic.
Can I say this real quick? This is where I get the mixed messages from Ron. If you're Coach Rivera. Yeah. If you're rebuilding, then just play Jamin. Why not let him go? That's my point. That's my point. I agree. They're playing to win a division. And again, I'm going to be the guy to say, listen, after this week, you're still only going to be one game out in the division regardless. So, and you have a division win. Listen here, no matter how you got here. Hey, look, that's just me. You know how I am already.
Yeah,
but
I don't care about
going into this Atlanta game, Atlanta's offense has been struggling. Okay, this is a perfect storm for the Washington football team defense to now get it together and have a good showing, although it's on the road. What are your thoughts? about what the team needs to do in order to go in and get a much needed W in Atlanta against a team that's not very good right now. Although they beat the Giants, how much that says, I'm surprised that happened today. I picked the Giants to win, but go ahead.
I picked Atlanta. Well, hey, Glenn, so
I know
you.
you did. I saw that. I saw that.
Hey, hey, my bad. Run football.
You good?
I'm a big guy. Run the
Run the
football.
Yeah.
If this Washington football team can run the football, it will make things much easier for Tyler Heineke. It will make things easier for Terry McLaurin. It would do what Scott Turner wants it to would do with play action, go down the field. But until this Washington football team, yet another Sunday with no 100-yard rusher, they have to be able to run the football and establish the game. If you look at these 3 games, other teams have controlled the clock against the Washington football team. And if a defense is not playing well, then the offense has to take control and make sure they keep the ball on the field as long as possible so your defense can get rest. When you throw interceptions, when you falling the ball, and you give a defense who are already struggling against an offense who gives a short field or short game, they're going to lose every single time. So Washington offense has to be able to control the game so the defense can be able to rest and get themselves together. I agree with you guys about playing some of the younger guys. And me, I'm like Mo in the chat. I'm not a big fan of zone with this team. This team is playing zone. This team should be a team. This should be a team where they let these guys loose and let them go. Bring a couple of linebackers there. Cover that way. Since the blitzes, El Rio to me seems like he's a little bit too conservative in key situations. Or if he's not being conservative, then we got the wrong front 4 up because they're not getting the pass rush. And you want to be especially in third down situations. To me, third down is when you can 3rd and long, 3rd and 7, to 3rd and 8s, and you got to let those guys go and play and be athletes and be a pass rusher. And we haven't even talked about Montez Sweat. Where is Montez Sweat? You know what I'm saying? So where's the guy that you picked up and that you established, and the Joshua Allen? We ain't talking about Josh Allen. So is Deron Payne. See, these big 4s. We don't even call their names during the game. We just watch the defensive line. Why? Because they had not set themselves up to be successful this year. And we can't call their name because they're not doing anything for us to call their name. Defensively, they need to be able to tackle better. They need to be able to cover in the secondary. They also need to be able to control the quarterback. Let's be honest, Matt Ryan's still not garbage. Matt Ryan is still not garbage when you're going into Atlanta. And so getting ready to play Atlanta. And Washington needs to fit. Right back to what you getting ready to say, what you were saying. Yeah, they're going to be, still one game behind whoever wins the Dallas Eagles game, right? And they're going to go one game behind. But do you want to, this year as a Washington football team, you want an NFC East with a below 500 record? You don't want to do that this year. You want to be able to get into the. You have an extra game. You want to be able to get into the playoffs on your own morals. You don't want to have to win the NFC East to get into the playoffs. You want to be able to get in the playoffs even if you don't win the NFC East, be a wild card or something like that. But I understand they want to win the East, and we know it's been hard in this division for a team to repeat as NFC East champions.
Yeah. And that's like I said, like usually I've stated this before, like the best defense usually wins in the NFC East, and Washington's far from it. So they still, you know what I mean. So it's like it's a double-edged sword.
Right now.
I think so too. I think they're a problem. And if you look at what they've done, right now. But if you look at what they've done the last couple weeks of who they've been playing, like they've looked sharp against even the Niners. You know what I'm saying? Their defense looks sharp against 2 teams. So I mean, Washington, to Glenn's point, you want to show improvement, right? You want to show improvement from what you did last season. That's the goal. And you don't want to win division, being under 500 this year. You want to show that, if everybody else can be under 500, but we're going to be over 500. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you want to have this look. You want to have a look for you as the team in this division. So if you're going back, if you're going to be the same or backwards, then you're not really improving. You don't want to have that type of look. You don't want to have that type of performance this season. So definitely you're playing Atlanta, and like you said, right, but I've always said, like, from after the first game of the season and after watching the Giants game, I said that there's no team that are a win. There's no team on the schedule, period, that a player definitely, and fans should ever say, like, hey, that's a win. Nah, there's no team. After what I saw from the Giants, I already knew that there's no team, period, that's going to be an easy W for this team. So I'm just keep that above. I mean, after the Giants game. So this game didn't do anything for me. Like, I picked them to lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it could be ugly. I didn't think they were really going to compete in this game. But it's just the way they didn't. It's just the way they played, which bothered me, to be honest with you. Because, like, even the Pittsburgh game, the one they won last year, we had a show, and I said that I just want them to compete. Like, I don't even care they beat Pittsburgh. Like, I just want them to compete. They ended up beating Pittsburgh, but I just wanted them to compete. I don't care about that. I didn't care about the wins or losses. When you play a good team, I just want them to know that you're there. I just want you to know, forget the score, because the scores can be played a certain way. But I want them to know that you were there fighting them. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, though his game was bad, like in the end of the day, Taylor Heineke, if you look at the stats, his game was bad. But when you watch him, you knew he was competing. Like, you knew he was there to compete. Like, he was trying to he threw picks at the end of the game because he was trying to make a play, because he was trying to compete. Even though they was about, getting their butts beat, but he was trying to compete.
And
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Like, so you want to see that from the whole team. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. So in that game, they ain't compete. Like, coaches they just didn't compete. And they ain't compete. They ain't coached to compete. They ain't play to compete. And that's a problem. That's an in the building problem. Not just talent. That's an in the building problem.
And I want to add to your point. Go ahead, brother. Real quick. You know what makes it bad though? You had extra days to prepare.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because the Thursday night game. Yes, you're right.
You had a Thursday night game, so you had extra days to prepare.
Yeah.
Extra days to get your guys rest, get them motivated to play this to play this football game. And again, they came out flat. Y'all mentioned it early. I get a chance to respond. They gave up a touchdown on the first drive again.
Yeah.
You can't come on. Extra days to prepare, extra rest. Everybody's healed up. You cannot, if you're the Washington football team, give up points on the first drive of the game. You can't do that. You can't allow teams to come home or you go into other places and it's establish the tone. We don't have, again, the Washington football team doesn't have explosive players to just go down the field and march down like the Kansas City or somebody like that. They don't have that. Everything's methodical. Everything is, dump pass here, 10 yards there. The other thing I want to add this to, and I'm done. Teams are starting to figure out Tyler Heineke. The more games he plays,
Taylor Heineke. Yeah.
Taylor Heineke. Excuse me, Taylor Heineke. The more defensive coordinators are starting to figure him out, and we saw that a little today with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and Abraham, I read George's tweet. I don't know if you read it. But he said,
absolutely.
He said, George tweeted, if they don't beat Atlanta next week, they are on the conveyor belt to 1-7. Everyone. Conveyor, excuse me. Thank you, sir. Conveyor belt 1-7. Everyone hide the women and children if that happens.
Well, guys, real quick, Brandon Scherff injury. What does that mean going forward, Wole?
He came back. Is he out?
If he's not healthy, what does that mean for you?
I think he'll play. If he came back, he'll play. But if he doesn't, he'll play. I mean, as long as it ain't a pec injury, he'll play. If he's not there, I mean, he's the best player on the O-line in terms of being he can pass, block, and run block, so he can do both. So out of the guard situation, but I mean, you do have some depth in guards. You have guys who started last season who can kind of fill in. I'm not filling and play at the level he played, but who can be adequate, right? But I expect him to play. I mean, they have way more problems than Brandon Scherff, to be honest with you, though.
That's the most interesting aspect of this to me, because you're still relatively healthy. And if you would have asked the Washington football team before the start of the season, if you can make it through each week healthy, doesn't that give you a bonus considering all the talent you have? And that's where the frustration lies, is you have so much talent on defense. But guys, any other thoughts on this Buffalo game and or this Atlanta game? We got the week to come. We're going to definitely continue to discuss this and discuss, obviously, what's about to happen this coming week in Atlanta with this Washington football team. Any other thoughts before we close out?
Hey, Glenn, what you guys say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, my fault. Last thought, hang on to the football. Hang on to the football. We gave up, and I'm saying that because 14 out of the 21 points was because turnovers.
Mm.
It's a different ball game if you hang on to the football. And I know Logan Thomas will try to get extra yards, but still hang on to the football. I know Heineke's picks, where some of it wasn't his fault, tipped up in the air and all that other stuff. Hang on to the football. And again, Scott Turner, when you backed up again on your own side of the field, be conservative with the football.
Yeah, a little bit more conservative. I'm with that.
Shout out to George Templeton. That's our man, of course. He said the disturbing question to ask is, has the culture really changed in Washington? That's amazing to think about that right now. Again, it's something we'll have to we'll have to consider moving forward. But please, excuse me, check us out this week. All Burgundy and Gold ErrryThing, Fox Sports Radio 1340. Tweet us at 1340 AM Fox Sports, at Urban Sports _ Ray, at what's your real Glenn Thomas, correct? Is it underscore? Oh, okay. Try to make sure I get these Twitter handles right. Of course, you can see Wole.
At real Glenn Thomas.
At real Glenn Thomas and at Wole _ USS. It's going to be fun to discuss this Atlanta game. We got a special guest coming on this week. It's going to be dope. As many know, I'm an Atlanta fan, and I'm going to have fun talking about this. Although I think Washington football team is the most dangerous when they're underdogs. When they're favored and when there's high expectations, I don't think they do well.
They're underdogs against Buffalo. They're underdogs in Buffalo. They were big underdogs against Buffalo. I don't know about that.
They were underdogs. But to be honest, I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
Exactly. I know. I know, right?
Everybody picked Buffalo to win. I didn't see anybody that picked the Washington football team.
Who would?
However, there was like a field goal difference, a one score difference. In the predictions, it wasn't this A-dub that we saw.
No, I thought Vegas said it was going to be this type of victory.
Look, it's because of turnovers, but I understand Vegas did have the Washington football team was going to lose by at least a touchdown. Yeah, a lot.
It's crazy. But Chase Young sounded off after the game. We'll touch on that this week. So check us out again. All Burgundy and Gold, ErrryThing with the Urban Sports Team. Fox Sports Radio 1340 AM and 96.9 FM. Hopewell, Virginia. Ray, Wole, Glenn, we appreciate you for listening. Mo, come back on Wednesday, man, so we can jump in here and have a great discussion. Because he's been blowing up the comments, but yeah,
I know, man.
They wouldn't show his face. He's mad about his Giants.
I know what it was. That's why he was like, he ain't slick. And he lost to your Atlanta Falcons team. Oh yeah,
Hey, but I'm not talking trash. Atlanta's not good right now. We gotta be realists. You know what I'm saying? Wole, your fan hat came off today, baby. It's all good.
It's always off. I don't know what you're talking about. It's always off. I'm actually probably the most non-biased Washington football team fan person on like Twitter or whatever. People don't vibe me a lot because I have a different opinion. I just do.
It's all right. Hear Wole's opinion again. Check us out this week. Hey, appreciate you guys for listening. All Burgundy and Gold, ErrryThing. We all.